Hi, my name is Kelvin Newman and welcome to the Brighton SEO podcast, where we share talks from one of the world's most popular search marketing conferences. The event started out as a few people meeting in an upstairs room of a pub and is now attended by over 3,000 people from all over the world. This episode is a recording of one of the speakers at a recent event. So, I'd like to welcome to the stage Sophie. If we could have a big round of applause for Sophie Coley, please.
So, I'm going to start with a bit of audience participation. Can you just pop your hand up if you've ever typed something into Google that you've not told anyone else? So, I'm talking your doctor, your partner, your best friend. Yeah, I can do it too. There's some pretty obvious, funny searches when you actually start looking at what's out there. How long does next day delivery take? It also gets quite dark. I'm going to go really dark with these examples. Darker still. And perhaps a little bit less dark, but still quite morally not quite there. And we all do it. You know, we turn to Google because it's this font of all knowledge. Every time we have a query, it's a safe space for us to put queries in, especially when there's that level of embarrassment there. So we don't want to be judged. We don't want to look silly in front of people that we know in the real world. We're looking for that kind of validation within Google. For us as marketers, obviously, that's incredibly powerful, whether people are performing those kind of confessional box secret searches that we're talking about, or straightforward product, I want to buy something searches. They're putting things into Google in the moment. You know, they're not in a survey, a focus group with someone telling them to perform a task. They're doing it in the moment, and of course, it's free, so that's fantastic. So we should be making use of that insight, but not like him. We should be making use of that and actually making our consumers' lives better. So from one bald-headed guy to another, this here is the Seeker, and hopefully a few of you recognise him. He is the face of Answer the Public, which is what I'm going to talk to you about today. He's got a sort of army of fans himself. I know that there's a lot of people that we believe now log onto the website and actually really enjoy just watching him for a little bit. He has some weird little movements that he does. So why am I stood here talking to you about Answer the Public? I work at Propellernet, and it's a small team who sort of used to work within Propellernet that founded Answer the Public. It came about for about 3 different reasons, really. So one, I'm sure there's a lot of people in the room who are doing the same, but back in the day, doing kind of audience-based keyword research, I would sit at my desk and I would type things into Google and then type out the entire alphabet just to see what suggestions were coming through. Clearly, that got quite tedious. Dan, who's one of our developers, he wanted to try something out with D3. He believed that he could make keyword research look more visually appealing, and that was something that was really important to us, I guess. I work in search, but I will admit that I hate spreadsheets, and so if we can share keyword data with clients in a more visually pleasing way, that was something that we were looking to do. So those 3 things, I guess: Dan wanting to try something new, wanting to make keyword research prettier, and boredom from typing the alphabet out in Google every day. So Answer the Public was born, and I think we have about 70,000, 80,000 people each month using it now, and hopefully a fair few of you in the room are using it as well. If you're not, do check it out. Essentially, you just need to stick a kind of head term into the tool, and it will spin out a few different things. Some of you will have noticed that last week we updated the tool, so that was great when I've been planning my presentation for the past couple of months. But you'll see now that we have the question wheel, which has always been there, the preposition wheel, which has always been there, but there's now a comparison wheel specifically, which is really useful, and I'll come on to ways that you can use that later. There's also an alphabet wheel and a relevance wheel as well. So I'm going to talk through three different ways that you can use Answer the Public today. So one is about understanding and identifying different audiences that you can talk to. One is looking at different ways you can use Answer the Public to understand influence, and the third one is all around brand activity. So let's just imagine that you work for a groceries retailer. Something that you might be interested in talking to an audience about is breakfast ideas. Could have gone dinner, just chose breakfast quite randomly. So in the preposition wheel, you can zoom straight to that for branch. And really for audience insight, that's gold dust to me. I do it regularly for a lot of our clients, just looking at different terms that are relevant to them and looking at that for branch. And you can see already you've got a whole host of different kind of niche audiences that you can start to look at. And the first thing that I tend to do is to think, actually, the client we're working for, the brand that you work for, can you serve that audience well? I've picked up 4 of the audiences that came through just now, so weight loss, campers, vegans and diabetics. You know, the groceries brand that we're hypothetically talking about can probably work for those guys, all of them, quite well. If we'd have been talking to butchers, obviously vegans wouldn't have gone down so well. But think about the audience and can you serve them well? And actually, what is it that they want? You know, they're searching breakfast ideas for camping. What does that mean? It probably means that they want portable stuff that's not going to go off that they can keep in a cool box. And actually, can you provide that for them, or are you best kind of letting someone else meet their need? And don't default to content here. It feels counterintuitive. I know a lot of people use Answer the Public as a tool for generating ideas for content, and absolutely, I'm not standing here suggesting you don't do that. It's a fantastic tool for doing that. But it's, I guess, I could stick the word just in those slides. Don't just default to content. Think about what you can really do, because if a vegan is searching breakfast ideas for vegans, is it not more powerful for you as a brand to be the brand that they think of, you know? Make it so that they don't even need to go to Google and search breakfast ideas for vegans. They just think of you as a brand and come straight to your website. You're missing out that whole competitive space by playing in the kind of Google search space. Something else that you can do with audiences within Answer the Public is looking at labels. So just pop your hand up if you've ever been skiing. I have. And now keep your hand up if you consider yourself a skier. So I'm going to take my hand down because I'm terrible at it. But there's that difference in language, you know. There's a lot of us who've been skiing, but there's a smaller set of people who consider themselves skiers. Equally, there's probably a lot of people in the room who've got beards, but how many of you consider yourself hipsters? And lots of people who read books, but how many would go as far as labelling themselves bookworms? And that's where it gets really, really interesting. So using labels that people are giving themselves, you know, when someone becomes so passionate about a thing that they do or something they're interested in that it becomes an extension of their personality. It's part of them, it's not just a thing they do anymore. And so you can stick that into Answer the Public and start looking at those labels that people are giving themselves. So I've put bookworms in there, and again, we are on the preposition wheel here, but I think you can look at, I guess, all the wheels that we put in for this because you're trying to build a picture of a kind of broader audience. So looking at bookworms, we've got a whole load of different terms that tell you what bookworms are looking for. So I think we've got jobs and careers, you know. For bookworms, or the bookworms who are using this term to search, it's such an extension of their personality that they are linking their job and their career to it. And you can start thinking about that and building out that fuller picture. Coincidentally, skiers, we at Propellernet use this for a campaign, so we put skiers into Answer the Public, and you'll see that you get a whole load of it. It's this really, really weird tribalism between skiers and snowboarders that we saw. So skiers are lame, skiers are annoying, skiers are better lovers, apparently. And then you do the same with snowboarders, and you see the flip side, that it's exactly the same, you know. They're kind of slating skiers and bigging up themselves. And so we use this for a campaign that you can read more about online, but it was for Nielsen Holidays, and we did a whole campaign around skiers versus boarders. We worked with 2 Team G winter Olympic athletes, so a skier and a snowboarder, and I guess stirred up that debate a little bit and got in, you know, it was a debate that was out there already, and it got us a ton of coverage, which was awesome, and links for our client. So 2 things if you're going to use Answer the Public to understand more about audiences. 1, look at that for branch on the preposition wheel. It's really, really useful. And 2, use those labels. Think about what it is that your audience are calling themselves and use those in Answer the Public. Second point to understand is looking at influence. So what do these people have in common? So if you're not sure, Sherlock, Kim K, Kate Middleton, and Olivia Pope from Scandal. I'm going to click on, because I don't know how many would have got it, but coats. And I got there like this. So this is looking again at that preposition wheel. And just like we were looking at the for branch previously, you can look at the like branch for understanding influence. So I've highlighted the personalities that I've just pulled out, but you'll see there's a whole load of brands in there as well. So sticking a head term into Answer the Public, looking at the like branch and then seeing what comes out, you'll see the brands and also the personalities that are influential in your space. Again, don't just default to content. I think as SEOs, content people, the temptation might be to think, okay, so let's create a gallery, a series of articles talking about why these people are influential in the coat space. But actually, what could your PR team do with that insight? Could they go out to the press and get you a whole load of links back? What could your product team do with that insight? You know, could they be feeding that into future product designs? So 2 things again, look at that like branch on the preposition wheel and make sure that you're sharing insight beyond your SEO team. I think as people who work in SEO, we really are gatekeepers to a huge wealth of insight and information, and we should be making use of it. Last point to look at, benchmarking your brand. So I've gone with a chocolate example for this one. So looking at Cadbury's chocolate, and I could have put in Cadbury's as just the brand term itself. I've put in chocolate to qualify it a bit more. The point to make here is if you're a brand who's got some sort of ambiguous spellings, make sure that you're putting in every possibility for how people might search around you. And the first thing that I would be looking at, and we'll look at it in a second, are there issues that need addressing around how people are searching around your brand? Or are there successes that you can be shouting about and building more advocates? So I'm looking at the question wheel this time. I should say the comparison wheel is also awesome for looking at brand mentions, but the question wheel, looking at why. So people here, I talked about other issues that need addressing. Why does Cadbury's chocolate taste different? Has the recipe changed? That kind of thing. It's an issue that people are so concerned about that they're turning to Google to find the answer. The other one that I love on this is why is Cadbury's chocolate so good? It's like there's this little army of people who are so passionate about Cadbury's chocolate being amazing that they're turning to Google to find other people who feel the same as them and, you know, to all agree that it's amazing. Also, why has it been banned in the US? So another issue that people are aware of and they're turning to Google to find an answer. Again, I'll say it, don't just default to content here. Yes, you can create a page on your website that says, here's why our recipe's changed, and actually it's for the good of you, or whatever it is. There's got to be a reason why they did it. But to me, I guess Cadbury's is such a known brand in the UK, it's such a loved brand. I think if you're going to do something as significant as changing your recipe and people are going to care about it that much, you should probably be doing something a little bit more than just creating some content on your website. Actually, what is the best way to deal with that issue for your audience? And again, think about how your PR team can start to affect how people are searching around your brand. I would suggest that actually you sit down and think, if we could have a dream wheel in Answer the Public that actually just showed every single term that I would love to see people searching for around my brand and the associations around my brand, then think about what that would look like and how can your PR team help affect that. Stacey mentioned sort of customer service teams as well, but how can they affect how people are searching around your brand? You know, they're the people that are there day to day having those interactions with your actual customers, be it online, in stores, face to face, whatever it is. How can they influence how people are searching for your brand? And how can they help, I guess, address some of those issues that people are having? And the other thing you can start to look at, obviously, is the competition, because Answer the Public lets you put anything in. So I've looked at Lindt chocolate here, and you can start to see some of the terms that are coming through. So how does Lindt chocolate taste so cold? So obviously those truffles with the cold centres. Again, they've got that little army of advocates. How is Lindt chocolate so good? How long does it last? That one really interested me in that it feels like there's people, you know, you buy a big bar of Lindt and actually you want it to last. It's something you're going to enjoy over a long period of time. But if we contrast that with Cadbury's, you'll see some similarities. So I think there's how to melt on both the branches. You know, it's obviously just a chocolate thing that people want to know how to melt it. But you start to see some different things. So how old is Cadbury's chocolate? The heritage coming through there, which Lindt didn't have that same association. And again, the issues with how's it changed. So just by comparing a few different brands, you can also stick just chocolate as a generic product category and start to benchmark where you as a brand are different in terms of how people are searching for chocolate versus how people are searching for you. So again, 2 points to remember here. Focus on that question wheel. That's the one that's really going to give you a ton of insight around your brand. And then also think about benchmarking you versus other brands, but also versus generics. And again, I've said it several times, don't just default to content with all of these. Think about what is the best possible way to deal with what this search behaviour is telling you. It may not be a piece of content, it may be something else. Really, this quote by Stoney DeGator absolutely sums it up for me. So we should be looking at causes. This is what I'm getting at and telling you not to just default to content. For me, defaulting to content is treating the symptom, and actually we should be looking at what is the cause of the behaviour, and Search Insight will tell us that. Because there's a person behind every query. I don't need to stand here and tell you that. I think sometimes in a search world it can be forgotten. We get so fixated on keywords, but there is a person behind every search query. I want to share 3 tools with you that, in addition to Answer the Public, I spend a lot of time in. I should just say they're paid for tools, but I thoroughly recommend them. So the first being Audience View by Hitwise. So for anyone who's not using it, allows you to build any segment that you like, any audience you like, and understand a huge amount of information about how they're behaving online. So what websites they're visiting, how they're searching, and their demographics as well. So age, location, all sorts of really, really useful things. Brandwatch, We talked about at the start how search is this kind of confessional box that people type in all their deepest, darkest secrets into. For me, social is the flip of that. It's who you want to be online. It's what you want to shout to the world about. And there's a whole different type of insight that you can take from that. It's different to search, but it's still completely useful when looking at your audiences. And so Brandwatch is great for that, for some social listening. And finally, what users do. So I just really rate the fact that you can set specific people tasks, and you get that commentary as they're going through and performing the task. It's really useful. So 3 things. Break free from your SEO box. As I said, we have a wealth of insight at our fingertips, and we should be sharing it with everyone that we work with, really, because I believe that other departments could massively make use of search insight, and I don't see it happening as much as I should. Will Reynolds sums it up really, really well. We're here today to talk about SEO, but let's be better marketers. Let's not just focus on SEO. And this is why I believe it matters, because actually we talk about rankings and positional gains for keywords, but actually, if you're getting more traffic to your website via brand searches, via direct traffic, surely that's just as valuable. If you're winning their hearts and minds and bypassing that search space or the competitive generic search space, that's just as useful. So as Will said, let's be better marketers, not just better SEOs. Let's make an effort to understand our public. And one final thing, for anyone who is a fan of The Seeker, we've brewed a few cans of our own. It's not sort of a dodgy brew going on, it's all done professionally, but a few cans of The Seeker beer. So if you'd like to get your hands on one of those, they're limited edition. We're giving away, I think, about 150 today. So if you look at the hashtag #DrinkTheSeeker, you'll find some instructions to do that. Thank you.
This was originally recorded at a Brighton SEO conference. If you want to listen to more episodes or find out about the conference itself, you can do at brightonseo.com.